Welcome in, everybody. Tuesday night with the Frame Brothers. This is the Take Two podcast. I am, of course, Jameson Frame.
And I'm Reed Frame.
And it's a glorious week, Reed. We have
Why is it
football back
glorious?
on Thursday.
Oh, yep.
There won't be starters, probably won't be a great game, but I will be watching.
It's football, man. You always got to be watching.
Oh, it's the best time of year, man. Best time of year.
Best time of year. Preseason is better than regular season. That's what you're saying.
Okay, that's quite the hot take. I'm just excited to see football being played again.
Yeah.
We'll be diving in probably next week into some of the game on Thursday. The players that played, potential breakout players, just all the hype around it and everything we're breaking into. But
Yep.
thanks for joining us. Welcome in. We're gonna dive into the AFC North podcast. Breed, get her going.
All right. Let's start it off with who I have winning this division is the Ravens. Just overall, I think this is a great team, great coaching. You got a few running backs on the squad with Derrick Henry being picked up in this free agency. I think he's a great ad. You got two running backs in the backfield at once with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. That's a dangerous combo. But I just have them winning the division at 13-4.
I have a surprising record of 15-2.
I I can see it. I think they're a great team,
I have them finishing as the best team in the NFL this year.
but not going to the Super Bowl, huh?
No, they lose to the Texans.
In the AFC Championship.
Um, yes, I believe so. I didn't have that written down.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I think I have the Ravens going pretty deep in the playoffs, 13-4. I think I have them losing to the Texans in the AFC Championship.
You have
But just
Lamar losing another playoff game.
once you get to a team that knows how to stop two running backs,
My point is he
but
struggled in the playoffs. That's a big knock, right?
yeah,
Everybody's like, Lamar can't win the big game. He's this great, athlete, great quarterback. Everybody who knows me knows I hate Lamar Jackson. I'm not a big mobile quarterback guy or guy that for running backs that look to run, I should say. Nothing against mobile quarterbacks. Um, I'm not a fan of Lamar Jackson, but the dude is an athlete. He's won games. Show him some respect there, but he can't win a playoff game. So that'll continue here.
yeah. But I think this offense has taken a step forward from last year. You have Lamar Jackson, right? As much as you hate him, he's a good quarterback and a good running back. And I think it's good to have both. Derrick Henry, as much as you want to say he's old, he's still that bell cow back that can get a ton of carries per season, right? And in this offense, he doesn't need to. I love this running back room. I think there's a bunch of great running backs behind him. I think you got Justice Hill, who's been an underrated guy. I think he's never really gotten to be a featured back completely. And I do think he's an underrated guy and a good second guy. You got Keaton Mitchell. Now he's out right now. I think it's a knee injury, correct?
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. I think it was late last year. He had a knee injury.
Yeah. But I think he'll come in and he'll pick up. He left off pretty well. He didn't get much carries, but I think he's another underrated guy. And then they picked up Rashawn Ali. Yep. Rashawn Ali, who I think is another great running back. He had a nose for the end zone in college. I think it was like 36 touchdowns in 2 seasons. So I think they have a great running back room here.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree. I was kind of surprised when you said that. Other than Derrick Henry, who I think they're going to absolutely just jump on his back and see what he can do to carry them through this season. I am not a big Justice Hill fan. I know he's had some slight production. I'm bit higher on Keaton Mitchell, but like you said, he's hurt. It's going to be a couple weeks before he gets back. Rasheen Ali is going to have to prove himself. I think he's going to get quite a few carries early on behind Derrick Henry, trying to break up some of his carries. I'm not in love with the running back room, but I think it'll be serviceable, above average, whatever you want to call it, good enough to help them win 15 games. So I'm not worried about it, I should say. What I am worried about is this receiving core. I mean, this is correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like this is their issue every season, right? They burn a first round draft pick on a quarterback. They've done it the last or wide receiver, excuse me. They've done it the last 2 years. Rashad Bateman 2 years ago. Last year was Zay Flowers. This year, they smartly elected to go defense off the rip and got a great pick in Nate Wiggins, who we'll touch on here in a second. But what are your thoughts on this receiving room with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman?
Zay Flowers, I think you could argue Zay Flowers was the best wide receiver in last year's class. I know there's probably another argument with Puka Nakua. I think those are your big two, right? I personally think Zay Flowers is the best one. I'm not a big Puka Nakua fan, so I think Zay Flowers takes it. But Zay Flowers, I think, is easily your number one guy. Rashad Bateman, he was taken highly. I know there's a ton of hype around him, especially fantasy wise. Lucky me, I dished him out to yours truly. Biggest robbery in trade history. But um, yeah, Rashad Bateman kind of has never lived up to that hype. He's never really gotten, he's just not really been productive. And then Nelson Aguilar. Um, it's Nelson Aguilar. I think he's kind of had a long career. I feel like he's been in the league for a long time.
Yeah, he's just
Like
been bouncing around, it feels like.
yeah, I feel like he's just been a slot guy on like 20 different teams, I swear.
Yeah.
The one guy I do want to touch on is Dontez Walker. Okay. You mentioned Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins let up one 20-yard plus catch in his college career. That one 20-yard plus catch was to Dontez Walker. Now, Nate Wiggins, well, again, I kind of want to talk about him now because he's from Clemson. I think he's a great corner.
Go ahead, hit
Nate
him.
Wiggins is an amazing corner. I mean, not letting up any 20 plus catching except for one. And now he's your teammate, right? I guess that means no one can ever catch 20 yards plus because his teammate is on the team. So, no, but Nate Wiggins, great corner. And I think Dontez Walker, just getting that 20-yard catch shows that he can be, and I think he will be a great wide receiver. And I think he will take Nelson Aguilar's spot and maybe Rashawn Bateman's spot.
Interesting. For those who don't know, Devontae Walker, fourth round draft pick, speed guy, just an absolute burner of a wide receiver, great deep threat. Hence why he had the deep route against Nate Wiggins. But getting back to Nate Wiggins, the Ravens were very patient in the first round. How the board fell, corners fell off the board like crazy. They were able to stay down at the bottom of the first round and snag Nate Wiggins, who I believe the Ravens considered the best cornerback on their board. Not personally my opinion, but to each their own. They were able to pair him with Marlon Humphreys, Brandon Stevens, who kind of had a breakout year last year, which and the two safeties they have. I mean, they have an incredible defensive back room. Not to
DB room is
mention they
amazing.
drafted TJ Tampa in the fourth round to add to it even more to bolster it up. So definitely know what they're doing, grabbing depth, grabbing talent at the position, bolstering up to have a great back end on this defense.
You mentioned how good this DB room is. I am in love with this DB room. I think if you put this DB room on any other team, that they will excel. And they'll excel here, but any team in the NFL wants this DB room. I can almost guarantee that. You got Kyle Hamilton. He's super young. I know the one red flag in his play is he's slow. I think he's proved that last year that he might be slow in that 40 time, but he doesn't play slow. He plays quick, he gets in turnovers, he makes tackles. I think Kyle Hamilton is a great safety.
I feel like
Marcus Williams,
I feel like
yeah,
Kyle Hamilton is everything Jamal Adams was supposed to be.
I completely agree. He's a
Like
big safety, makes
he's like
tackles,
that
he can catch the
prototype.
ball. Yeah, he
Yeah.
can catch the
Wow,
ball.
man.
I agree. I'm a big Kyle Hamilton fan. I think he's a great safety, and I think the Ravens really found the safety for the future. And I think he will arguably be the best safety this year in the league.
Good take.
Marcus, what?
It's a
Good
good
take.
take. All right.
I like Kyle Hamilton. Our Marcus Williams, I think, is a perfect pair for Kyle Hamilton. I think Marcus Williams is a good like ball hawk. I think he really has an eye for the ball. Good coverage guy. Um, I'm just in love with this DB room. You got Brandon Steffens. I think Nate Wiggins is going to start over him. I might be a little biased. He had an amazing year last year. Nate Wiggins is better.
From what I've heard, it almost sounds like they're going to move Marlon Humphreys into the slot, and then they're going to start Nate Wiggins and Brandon Stevens on the outside to give him a crazy, deep defensive back room, which I don't hate. It's going to be hard for slot receivers to get away from Marlon Humphreys with his press off the line too. So great there. Getting back to the draft, second round, they were able to snag Roger Rosengarten from
Tackle.
Washington, I believe, right tackle.
Yep.
He's going to be their instant starter at right tackle for them after they lost Morgan Moses or traded him to the Jets. I think this is another great pick. I love basically what the Ravens did here in the draft. Bottom of
I
the draft, they went and got a bunch of depth. Top of it, they went and got high end players that can impact now and help their team right away. Nate Wiggin, Rosengarten are the two. You got the Walker and TJ Tampa are the two borderline depth potential starters right away. But getting back to the Rosengarten, he's going to solidify that right tackle for them and probably be the right tackle of their future there for him. Big fan of his.
I'm a massive fan of Rosengarten. Quick stat check. He played over 1,000 passing snaps in college. He didn't let up a single sack.
Wow. That is
He's
impressive.
a he's a very good pass blocker. I think his knock was he wasn't a great run blocker. If you can pass like that, man, no one's getting through, right? He's gonna go up against
Right.
Myles Garrett's. He's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
go up against TJ Watts. He's going to get tested here in the league, especially in your own division. You're playing him twice a year, right? He's
Yep.
going to be tested. I think this is a great pick. This is a steal, in my opinion, in the second round. I think Rosengarten should have gone early second round, late first. If just in my opinion, I love this pick by them. It's this draft class, man. If I was grading it, I'd give it an A plus. I love this draft class.
Just from those, standout picks, Nate Wiggins, Rosengarten,
I like
from
Dantes Walker
Tampa,
too. I like Dantes
Montez Walker,
Walker. I
Machine
like
Ali.
Rashawn. I like Rashawn Ali. I mean, there's
Yep.
like Devin and Larry in the sixth round. I don't know if that's really he's going to be fighting for a backup spot, right?
Right. He'll fight. He'll
Not
compete with
Josh
Josh
Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah.
Yep. But it's not much of an impact. But I think this is a great draft class for the Ravens.
No, I agree. I think the Ravens killed it. I think the Ravens are going to be a formidable force. I think they're going to be the best team in the regular season this year. But I think Lamar kind of chokes in the playoffs again. And same old, same old.
I completely agree. Just rounding out the roster, we didn't really touch on the front seven of their defense. Trent Simpson is a sleeper linebacker. If anyone I don't know if anyone's heard that. If you play Madden, he's an amazing user in Madden too. He's real fast, hits hard. But Trent Simpson in real life, I'm a big Trent Simpson fan. He went to Clemson. Um, and Roquan Smith, I think, is a good pair for him. I think their two middle linebackers are great. I think you got amazing defensive line and Justin Mud. I'm just terrible with names. You got
Metabuke, I
Michael,
think.
yeah, Michael Pierce and Justin. I think those two are great pairs. I think this entire defense is just a good defense. I think they were number one in the league last year, and I think they could
Yeah, they
definitely,
were well
yeah,
due to Mike McDonald. So hopefully he can bring that over to the Seahawks and get some juice
yeah.
flowing there. So
Yeah, but I think this is a great defense, and I think this offense will be able to figure it out and put together a good season.
yeah, gonna be an exciting team for sure. Moving on to the Bengals, I have them taking second in the division, just barely. I have them going 14-3 with a healthy Joe Burrow this year.
I have them going 12-5. I'm not as high on them, but I do have them going second in the division.
What's your reasoning? What's just
Um,
matchups?
I think just Jamar Chase, I don't think he's ever really bounced back ever since his injury. He missed a lot of time. He's missed a lot of time. I think this year he has to bounce back, and I don't honestly see him doing it. I do like Jamar Chase. I think he's a great wide receiver, but I don't know if I just don't like what I see. I hope he proves me wrong, right? But I don't know if he's really a top five wide receiver.
Interesting. All right.
But you mentioned Joe Burrow staying healthy. I think that's a key to their success, right?
That has to be.
Yeah, you don't have a quarterback to throw to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, you can't get it done, right? I did just hate on Jamar Chase, but I also do think this wide receiver core is stellar, all right? Jamar Chase, I didn't say he's top five. He is top 10 for sure. I will say Jamar Chase is top 10. I'm not that much of a hater. He's not Cooper Kupp, right? But Jamar Chase is a good wide receiver. I just don't know if he's elite. T. Higgins, I think, is right up there. He's a little bit worse than Jamar Chase, in my opinion, but I think T. Higgins is underrated. He's a great jump ball guy. I think he's a great receiver. Also went to Clemson.
Yeah, you and your Clemson boys.
Yeah, we love him.
Yeah, but he's got they're putting together a decent offensive line here. A little underrated on the interior. Ted Karras, Alex Kappa coming over from Tampa Bay. Um, Cordell Bolson. I've never heard of him. So they got Cody Ford, who I've heard of as a backup guard. He can start from time to time. He's not great. But then you got Orlando Brown at left tackle, and you got Trent Brown coming over at right tackle. They really doubled down on the right tackle position by taking Amarius Mims in the first
Yep.
round out of Georgia. Long term, he's their starter at right tackle. They're going to give Trent Brown this chance this year and let him learn for a year behind him. They signed him to a 1 year deal. The problem with Trent Brown is he hasn't played a full season since like 2018 or something like that, I think I saw. So Mims is going to get on the field essentially at some point this year to get some playing time, but he's also going to get to learn behind a veteran who's going to teach him all the tips and tricks on how to be a good right tackle. Mims is also massive. If you didn't know this,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't have his
massive.
measurables in front of me, but I know he is a big dude.
I can get him.
All right. Jumping, staying on the offensive side of the ball. The running back room is a little sketchy, in my opinion. Zach Moss coming over from the Colts. He's going to be their starter, sharing time with Chase Brown, who's more of the receiving back, kind of a speedier back. Chase Brown probably has the better upside fantasy wise. Going to be catching more passes out of the backfield. He's a little more breakaway speed, so he's going to have the explosive plays, that kind of thing. Zach Moss is going to get the majority of your goal line carries, I would say. So it's going to be another one of those split backfields that we've talked about basically on every team. I don't love the room. I think it'll be serviceable and help them out, but I think they're going to be a very pass heavy offense this year based on the receivers and what they got going on here.
I can agree. Amarius Mims is 6'8", 340.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, that's a beast of a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. As if you're a running back in that offense, I'd love to run behind him, right? You mentioned the split back. I'm thinking this is going to be a Jamal Williams. I'm blanking on his name.
Alvin Kamara?
Not Elvin. Jamal Williams on the Lions when Jamal Williams led the league in rushing. Who's the running backs?
Oh boy, I don't even remember who was with Jamal. It wasn't Montgomery, was it? They didn't have both.
No. Why? It's a well-known guy.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't think of it.
It was like the
Oh,
2021
DeAndre
Lions.
Swift.
DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
what the heck? He's on the Eagle. No, he's on the Bears now.
He's on the Bears now.
Yeah. Jeez. Sorry about that. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. But I'm thinking this backfield's gonna be a lot of Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift. Like Zach Moss is gonna get a lot of touchdowns. Chase Brown's gonna get a lot of catches, a lot of yards.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's going to be a weird fantasy backfield. I don't know exactly who's going to be more valuable than the other. Like I said, I think Chase Brown will have the upper edge just on, PPR leagues for catches and stuff like that.
I agree. Moving to the defensive side of the ball. Start with the defensive line. You got Trey Hendrickson, who I think is a very underrated edge guy and guy who kind of plays both, but I think he's a very underrated pass rusher. Sam Hubbard, who I think is another underrated guy. You got Sheldon Rankins and BJ Hill, who another, I'm gonna say it again, underrated guys, right? I don't think they're elite. I honestly you could stretch it and say they're good, but I think Trey Hendrickson is definitely good. I don't think it's a stretch to say he's good. I think Trey Hendrickson is definitely good. But these other three, I think you could say they're good or they're decent. You could go both ways. I think they're kind of in between. I think they're underrated guys, don't get much love, but again, they're nowhere close to elite.
Yeah, they're definitely startable. I mean, they're top. What do you call it? 64 at their position. At
Yeah,
defensive tackle, they're one of two on any starting team in the league. And then they went out and got Chris Jenkins in the second round. Very versatile pass rusher slash run stopper. I think he's going to start mixing in immediately.
I
I think he's
completely agree. I think,
a
yeah,
good defensive tackle out of Michigan. Great pickup in the second round. Going to be an impact player for them at that position.
completely agree. Moving to the linebackers, not much there. I'm only seeing Logan Wilson as the star talent, and he's more of a pass coverage guy. I know you don't. I know this team they don't really send their linebackers into rush. I mean, they run a 4-3, so usually you expect your outside backers to be more in pass coverage in a 4-3 defense. And Logan Wilson, I think, excels at that pass coverage. He's not that much of a rusher, but he does what he's needed of. And I don't know much about these other linebackers. If you want to enlighten me.
Jermaine Pratt's decent, startable. But other than that, it's pretty thin pretty quickly. Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt are definitely year two above the rest. Yeah, I don't love it. I wish they would have got a little more depth in the draft. They didn't draft a single linebacker, which is with a lot of picks. I mean, they could have at least grabbed one. Nonetheless, I think they'll be all right. Even if they run a lot of nickel, they can only get two linebackers on the field and they only have to get the two. But then as soon as injury pops up, I mean, you could derail your whole season at that point.
Definitely. The DB room. It's an all right DB room. I think my hype of Jordan Battle is kind of carrying it. I do like Jordan Battle a lot. I think there's a lot of young safeties in the league that I like. Jordan Battle is one of them. I think he's a great safety. He kind of hits hard. He plays coverage. That's really all I love about this DB room.
Geno Stone from Baltimore.
I'm not a big fan of Geno Stone,
Uh, I
but
mean, yeah, I
he,
can't agree. I can't disagree with you on anybody else. I mean, Geno Stone is really the only other one that of note
yeah,
there. Cam Taylor Britt at corner, Mike Hilton, a veteran at corner, DJ Turner at corner. A lot of you guys probably have no idea who these people are. I don't blame you. They're not very well known people. They went out and drafted a corner and a safety in the draft, a fifth round corner, Josh Newton, and a seventh round safety. Uh, they're going to be depth pieces that probably compete. Maybe in a couple years we'll know who they are because they're going to get some starting experience on this team, most likely. It's not a great situation to be in on the back end. Don't get me wrong. The offense is definitely going to be carrying this team 100%. It's going to be a high powered, basically track meet every game.
yeah.
The one player I want to touch base on is Jermaine Burton, a third round draft pick out of Alabama. A couple weeks back, I talked about Jalen McMillan on the Buccaneers and a player to stash for the 2025 season. I would say Jermaine Burton is in the same boat. We know T. Higgins probably isn't going to be on the team next year, which puts Jermaine Burton in the wide receiver 2 spot basically immediately after this year. A third round draft pick is a pretty decent investment to pay in a guy to not have a future plan in place for him. The other receivers on this team, Trenton Irwin, Andres Zavalas, they're two smaller slot guys, so they're not going to be competing as the number 2 guy. So unless they go out and draft a receiver in the first round next year, this is the guy that you're going to want to stash for next year on deeper teams, your taxi squads, your deep dynasty leagues, stuff like that. He might even have a role this year as the wide receiver 3 as well. So potentially this year.
Yeah. Other thing I want to touch on is Eric All, their tight end they took out of Iowa. I think he's a great tight end. He has been his career has been riddled with injuries. That's kind of his biggest concern. I do like that he's out of Iowa, which I would consider as tight end U. There's a bunch of tight ends in this league that are from Iowa, and I honestly think if he stays healthy, he will be their number one guy at tight end.
Do you think he's the next great Iowa tight end? The George Kittle, the Sam Lagoda?
Okay, so why are we saying George Kittle before Sam Lagoda?
Because he came
All
first.
right, no, Sam Lagoda goes above him. All right,
Well, yeah,
so
right
no,
now.
let's retry that. Let's retry that.
All right. So you got George Kittle and you got Sam.
Okay, no, you did it wrong again. No. Sam Laporta goes first. All right.
All right.
Um, Eric All, I do like. He does not compare to Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is just he's the king. You know how like
Okay.
LeBron, you know how like LeBron in basketball is above everyone else. That's where Sam Laporta goes.
Okay, you were not calling Sam Laporta as good as he is now at this point last season.
You're right. You're right.
So Eric All could be just as good, and we don't know. So you got to chill out on the
Sam
whole
Laporta's
Sam
better.
Lagoda glazing.
Dude, it's not glazing when it's true. All right. But Eric All, I think he's going to be a good tight end. I think this team has been looking for a tight end ever since Tyler Eifert. Bet you forgot about that guy. That
That
guy
dude was
was
a
a
beast for like
that
one
guy
year.
was a dog,
It was like
right?
1 year. That was it.
Yeah, that guy was a dog for that one year and then gets
I
injured
remember.
every play and who's there is a big problem, but I think they've been looking for a good tight end ever since Tyler Eifert ended up doing I don't even know where he went. But I think Eric All will be that guy. I think he will be a good tight end for them.
I always thought they were going to make Irv Smith work. The more he was an athletic tight end out of Alabama. He went to the Vikings, I believe, to start his career. And then last year he was on the Bengals. I thought he was going to be a good fit in that offense, just being athletic and whatnot. But that was definitely not the case.
Yeah, I remember him. I think he was more of like a quicker guy, right?
Yeah, he was like
Yeah.
the OJ Howard type tight end, the
Mhm.
receiving tight end, but not great at blocking, and he just never could make it.
Yeah. I think Eric All will be their guy.
Yeah, I could see it. You can draft him.
I don't really need a tight end. I got Sam Laporta.
You can always use tight ends, dude.
I got Sam Laporta.
Ah,
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a good season for the Bengals. 12-5. I know you're a little higher on them, but I think this Bengals team has finally turned it around ever since that like 2018 season where they were like 4-13. They finally finished the rebuild, and I think now is their time.
yeah, it all comes down to Joe Burrow. If he stays healthy, this offense will be clicking down the tracks. They're going to be a high-powered offense. If they lose Joe Burrow, team's going to crumble. Defense isn't good enough to keep him in games when they have a backup quarterback playing. It's just what it is.
Definitely agree. I definitely agree. Moving on to the next team, I have the Browns taking third in the division, and I think I'm guessing based on just how I know you, I'm thinking I'm going to be higher on the Browns than you are. I have the Browns going 11-6.
Oh, that's disgusting. I have them winning 6 games, and I don't even like that.
Dude, what?
Oh, the Browns are gonna just. I have zero faith in this team. Deshaun
Why?
Watson is nothing anymore. He's a
Dude,
shell of himself.
give the man a few massages and he'll be
Okay,
fine.
we're gonna leave the massage jokes out of here, but he's not that good of a quarterback. Whatever happened after he was off the field for those 3 years, he came back. He's just not the same person. He was electric beforehand. He was making the right reads. He was like a dynamic quarterback. He was on pace to be like top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And he can't even figure out how to play football anymore, it doesn't seem like.
He's too busy doing other stuff.
You had Joe Flacco come in and made a playoff run with this
He
team.
was
And
a dog.
before Deshaun Watson got hurt, he could barely win games.
This might be a hot take. All right. A guy for you guys to watch in the preseason. DTR, Dorian Thompson Robinson, quarterback. I don't remember where he went to school. I can check
UCLA,
here. UCLA.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I know he lit it up last year in the preseason. I think it was the Hall of Fame game last year where he lit it up, right? I think DTR should get a chance, right? Deshaun Watson keeps playing like he did, doesn't work out. You got Jameis Winston behind him. He'll throw you 3 picks a game if that's what you want, right? But then you got Tyler Huntley. I would put DTR over Tyler Huntley, and I would put DTR over Jameis Winston because at least he doesn't throw 3 picks. DTR, hear me out. Start DTR if Deshaun Watson looks terrible.
I, I don't see that happening, man. They're
I'm not
paying
saying it's going to
Deshaun
happen,
Watson
but I
all
want
that
it to
money.
happen.
They're gonna
Give
just keep
DTR a
rolling.
chance.
I don't. I may not disagree with the take. I'm just saying that's not what's gonna happen. They're gonna roll with Deshaun Watson. They paid him all that money. They gotta, convince the world that it was worth it, and it's not. Never will be. I like the guy, Thompson Robinson, fun guy to watch. I remember the game you were talking about where he had that explosive game. The problem is they I don't like what they did in this draft. I don't know what your opinion on it is. I don't know if I like really anybody in this draft class. Michael Hall and Zach Zinter, their second and third round pick, are really the only names of note. The other guys are going to be fighting for roster spots off the rip. Michael Hall is more of your defensive tackle, pass rush kind of guy. He's in a crowded defensive line group already. You got Shelby Harris, Miles Garrett, Delvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith, Quentin Jefferson. He's kind of a veteran guy. A lot of people don't know him. He's going to be fighting to get on the field as a second round pick. And then Zach Zinter had a pretty bad leg injury at Michigan last year. Played exclusively left guard for Michigan. So he's going to be kind of the heir apparent. Joel Bitano, the
Yeah,
left guard, the veteran
Joel
left guard.
Bitonano.
He's been great for them
He's been
for a
amazing.
long time. So Zach Zinter's obviously they're going to be their future at the left guard position. The problem is, like which one of these guys is going to help them win now?
Nobody, right? I don't think any of these guys is going to help him win now. I like this team, right? I think Jedrick Wills is a good tackle. I think this line is good for this year. All right. I think this line
Yeah.
is good this year. Running back wise, as much as I want Nick Chubb to come back from that knee injury and light it up, his knee was bent 90 degrees the wrong way.
That was
I
pretty bad.
saw when it happened on Twitter, I saw a picture of a person putting a protractor like at the angle of his knee, dude. It was 90 degrees. That was a right angle of his knee going the wrong way.
Yeah, it was
I don't think
disgusting.
you can come back from that,
Well, do you see he's squatting over 500 pounds already?
dude.
There was just a video I saw on like Instagram or something like that, and it was him squatting. It was like 500 and some pounds.
What could he do before though? Couldn't he do like 700 or
Oh,
800
I don't
before?
know. The fact is, you just had a gruesome knee injury and you're squatting 500 pounds. Like
I'll give him
obviously
that.
that's a stagnant lift. I mean, you're just going up and down. You're not cutting side to side. So we don't know how it's holding up that way, but it's still good progress.
It's amazing progress, especially for what I just mentioned, how bad that knee injury was. But I don't know if he can really play football on that again, right? As much as I want him to come back. I love Nick Chubb. I thought he was like the best running back in the NFL before last year. And then we didn't see him, and then CMC kind of took over, lit it up, right? But Nick Chubb, I hope he comes back and I hope he becomes better than CMC just because CMC is a 49er and I hate the 49ers and I want Nick Chubb to be better, right? I don't think it's gonna happen. Prove me wrong, Nick Chubb, but coming back from that knee injury, man, that's got to be so hard. Like I can't even imagine what he had to go through just to squat 500.
When I first saw that in the injury, I was like, there's no way this guy plays football again. That was my
Yeah,
initial thought. It was so bad. I was like, this, he's done. I'd be happy just to see him get back in the field again. Whether
definitely.
he gets back up to the form that he was before or not, which I doubt, but just to see him on the field would be cool.
I fantasy wise, I would say stash Jerome Ford. If Nick Chubb doesn't turn out, Jerome Ford is their featured back again. He had a decent year last year, and I think they will depend upon him again if Nick Chubb doesn't turn out.
Yeah, he's kind of their only answer at running back if Nick Chubb doesn't come back, right? Nakeem
Definitely,
Hines, Deonta Foreman. That's going to be about it for that running back room.
definitely.
You got a couple young guys and whatnot too. Like you said, offensive line is in decent shape for this year. They went and got Zach Sinter, like we just talked about for the future, so they're kind of thinking there. The receivers are what
I was
I'm
just,
scared of.
I was just about to ask, what do you think about this receiver core?
Jerry Judy, I was extremely high on coming out of college. I thought he was going to have a CD Lamb type, you know, uh,
Yeah,
playing career. I thought he was going to be that good. He has done basically nothing. He was a bust in Denver. They traded him over here. He got paid before he even played a game, which is mind boggling. Elijah Moore, I was high on when he was on the Jets. He got traded to the Browns as like more of like a slot receiver. And then Amari Cooper is just running out of years left in him. I mean, he's still putting up productive season last year, but he's
yeah.
gonna get to the end of his thread at some point. That on top of not great depth, I think this offense is just limited with the lack of running back depth, the lack of good receivers. Deshaun Watson is allergic to throwing the ball to his tight end, so David Njoku is essentially useless.
And David Njoku, I would argue, is the best receiver on this team.
I agree, but just the stats, I don't have them in front of me. I saw a statistic saying Deshaun Watson just refuses to throw to his tight ends. So that's cool. I just think this offense is so limited by Deshaun Watson.
I honestly agree. You know, as much as he might be able to give the entire team free massages, um,
Enough of those. Stop.
put DTR at the helm, man. That's all I gotta say. I think DTR can lead this team, and I'm actually really high on DTR. I think I have a lot of faith in him, and I'm definitely watching him this preseason. I want to see what he has.
You think they'll give? Do you think they would give him a chance? Because I don't.
No, no. If Deshaun Watson poops the bed, Jameis Winston's coming in, and he's gonna throw 3 picks. They're benching him after those 3 picks. Then comes Tyler Huntley.
True.
Then hopefully Tyler Huntley throws 3 more picks and DTR comes in and lights it up after 6 picks in one game and he wins the game, you know.
I think Tyler Huntley might beat out Jameis Winston for the roster.
Tyler Huntley on the Ravens was a very good quarterback.
So I could see that. I could see Jameis Winston getting cut.
I think Jameis Winston is the worst quarterback on this roster.
Him or Watson.
Yeah, the two guys on this depth chart I'm seeing right now, the two guys
Yeah,
that are in
one
front are
and
the
two. Yeah,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Get over to this defense quick. Defensive back room is in really good shape. Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpin, Juan Thornhill. I think a lot of football fans know those names, regardless if you know how good they are or how good they aren't. Those names you've heard before, which means a lot to some players who aren't a Browns fan, and nobody really is. So I think that is the strong point of this defense. Obviously, apart from the pass rush,
Okay, there it
you're
is.
gonna you're gonna pair a good pass rush with a good back end. I think this defense is in really good shape, similar to the Ravens. The problem is I just have this offense just holding them back so much.
Yeah, I think linebackers too. I think they have a good linebacking group there. You got Jordan Hicks at the middle linebacker, who I think is a pretty underrated guy. Devin Bush from Seattle. He didn't play much last year at all, but I do want to note he sat a year behind Bobby Wagner.
That's not the savior to all linebackers.
You're right. You're right. But Bobby Wagner is an amazing tackler, and Devin Bush already had that athletic ability. That's what really carried. That's what still is carrying me on his career. He was great in college. I think he played for Michigan. He was great in college. He's super athletic. He's super fast for a linebacker. And I think a year behind Bobby Wagner, who is a very good tackler, I would argue one of the best tacklers this NFL has ever seen. Right. I think Devin Bush is coming back better than he was before. Am I saying he's going to be great? No, but he is going to be starting caliber for this team.
Interesting. Interesting. I disagree. I don't think Devin Bush is very good at all. I think he had that athletic potential and just nobody's been able to harness it and turn him into a good football player. So I think he'll be a backup linebacker slash special teamer probably the rest of his career.
I I could agree. I'm betting on that year behind Bobby Wagner. Maybe he learned something. Maybe he learned something.
I'm sure he learned it. I just don't know if he'll be able to repeat it.
Maybe. You mentioned the strength of this, or you mentioned the strength of this defense being the pass rush. I 100% agree. Myles Garrett, man, that guy's a beast, right? I don't think there's any other word for it. Is he's a monster? He's a beast. Pairing him with Zadarius Smith, you got a nasty pass rush here. I'm scared. If I'm a quarterback and I don't have two amazing tackles, I'm terrified for my life. Even if they are amazing tackles, you got Myles Garrett, man. He'll get right past that guy. I don't care who you put against Myles Garrett. He'll just go right over him.
Yeah, reigning defensive player of the year.
He's an amazing, he's an amazing player.
So jumping over to the bottom of the barrel of this division. I don't know about you. Um, this isn't going to work well for Mike Tomlin this year.
Why is that? Name it.
Well,
Say it. Say it.
well, for starters, they don't have a starting quarterback.
Russell Wilson, dude.
He's not going to start.
No, Russell Wilson's butt.
So Justin Fields will start week 1. So there was a report that I heard this week that Russell Wilson has some kind of injury he's dealing with in practice or whatnot. So
Justin Fields has
Justin
been
Fields is
lighting
getting
it
a
up.
chance. What'd you say?
Justin Fields has been lighting it up, is what I've heard.
Yeah,
He's been
that's what
doing
I've heard.
good in
I've heard he's been
practice.
doing well. The thing is, the culture in the Steelers organization does not fit Russell Wilson's personality whatsoever. The Steelers are like a hard mouth. We're gonna, just play hard. We don't care what you think about us. Screw you. And Russell Wilson is this, you know, super nice, humble. Well, for whatever you want to call it, he's a super nice, corny, not I'm gonna beat you kind of guy. So I just don't think he's gonna vibe well in this locker room. Mike Tomlin's gonna get the guys all hyped up, and then Russell Wilson's gonna just let him down and kill all the energy in the room. Whereas Justin Fields, that the team can rally behind, he's an exciting player. You could probably get hyped with him. I think Mike Tomlin sees this early on and just rolls with Justin Fields. And this injury is just giving Justin Fields that chance to kind of step into that QB1 role.
You say Russell Wilson's going to get the start. I right now I'm saying Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson right now.
I
Justin
said
Fields.
I said Justin Fields is getting the start week 1.
Oh,
Did I might have messed that up. That's what I meant on that whole thing.
maybe I just wasn't listening. That might be
Okay,
my
that
bad.
that sounds better.
All right. I think Justin Fields is just a better quarterback than Russell Wilson in any way. Justin Fields is faster. No duh, right?
Yeah.
I think Justin Fields can throw the ball better than Russell Wilson can.
I'm not a huge Justin Fields fan. I'll make that very clear.
I'm not
I
a
like
very big Russell Wilson fan in any way.
well, I'm not either. I still think Russell Wilson's probably the better quarterback. Mentally can read the plays, can call the plays, can decipher like what he needs to do. I just don't think he can do it anymore.
I think he has the IQ. You're right. He has the IQ. Ever since he broke that finger, he hasn't been able to throw the ball the same way. And I don't think he ever will be able to throw the ball as he did. If what was that, the 2020 season in Seattle, I think it was, where he was like leading. He that was his best season, I think, one of his best seasons.
Sounds right.
Then he broke his finger, and he's never been the same. And I think he's been on the downward spiral of his career. I don't know if it's a hot take. Russell Wilson needs to retire, save his career, so he can maybe still make the Hall of Fame. If he keeps riding this thing out,
There's no way.
he's ruining his legacy, and he's not going to make the Hall of Fame.
There's no way he makes the Hall of Fame.
I honestly agree with you. If he would have retired after Seattle, do you think he would have made the Hall of Fame?
Borderline, but probably not.
I don't think he would have been a first ballot, but I think he would have made the Hall of Fame.
Maybe. I I still
If
don't
he
think
would
he
have
would have.
retired after Seattle, I think he would have. I don't think he will anymore. I think he's ruined his
Regardless,
legacy.
regardless, what do you have the Steelers finishing?
I have the Steelers 8-9, just because Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, and I think he's going to have his first losing season, but it's going to be barely.
So I have the Steelers winning 5 games this year. The thing is, the back half of this schedule is brutal.
Yeah,
So
it's
after they have a week 9 bye, then they play Commanders, Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles,
Eagles.
Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. They will be lucky to win 2 of these games.
I have them. I have them winning. I have them winning 18-17 just because I have the Chiefs and Bengals clinching a playoff seed and starting backups.
Okay.
Right? So I don't that counts as a win on the record, but I don't know if I like would count that as a real win. And then I do have them winning against the Browns and Bengals too. Or yeah,
Really?
I have them winning against the wait, I have this backwards. I have them winning to the Browns when they play the Browns at home and then losing to the Browns when they play the Browns away. Yeah.
That is the only game I have them winning in this stretch. I have them losing to every team and then I have them trading with the Browns.
I think Mike Tomlin, just because he's an amazing coach, I think he can pull stuff together and try and not ever lose a season. And I
I
think
just,
I
I
think
just,
he'll pull something together.
I just don't think he has the team to do it. This offense is arguably in worse shape than it was last year. You have 2 rookies starting on your offensive line, which granted are decent rookies that they got
They're
in the
amazing rookies.
yeah, they got
Troy
Troy
Fatanu's a
Botnu in the first
dog.
round. He's gonna be a great tackle for them for a very long time. I think he's an excellent, excellent tackle for them. So that's a great pick. Second round, they went out and got their center of the future in Zach Frazier out of West Virginia.
I
So
think that's a
he'll
great
be
pick.
a good center for them for a long time. The problem is you're starting both rookies in a quarterback controversy team where neither quarterback is very good, nor do we know who's going to be playing. Then the problem comes where they don't have great weapons to throw to.
I agree completely.
George Pickens, great receiver, talent wise. He hasn't put it all together yet. I mean, granted, he hasn't had a quarterback to help him along with that, but he has gotten into his own head way too much. And he might have been like this to begin with. Um, but he's picking fights on the sidelines. He's doing all kinds of crazy stuff at camp. But then after him, you have what? Kelvin Austin, Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson, another draft pick that they had in the 3rd round. Not great options. I would say it's arguably one of the worst receiving corps in the league.
I think there's a lot of underrated guys that you probably haven't heard of, or that a normal person that just watches football and knows the stars that haven't heard of that could make a difference, but probably won't. You got Kelvin Austin, man. That is pure explosion, right? Kelvin Austin's fast, great explosion. Scotty Miller, another pretty fast dude. I think he's not known for speed. Actually, it's probably his highlight of his entire player as his speed. But again, he's not known for anything. But if you had to put a label on him, it would be speed. George Pickens, right? I think he's been kind of the highlight of their offense, at least
Yep.
wide receiver wise. Van Jefferson, I think, he was an underrated guy. He's from the Rams, correct?
Yeah, Rams. I think he went to Atlanta last year. Didn't do
Yeah,
really
I think
anything.
Van Jefferson on the Rams was pretty good. I think at least every time I'd watch the Seahawks play the Rams, he'd always catch like 3 balls a game and cook us, especially on third down, and then I'd get pissed.
Yeah, he's more
But
of a deep ball guy.
yeah. And then you got Roman Wilson, who I know there's a lot of people that hate him, especially around here when we live in Wisconsin. He's from Michigan. I know there's a lot of people that hated him. Roman Wilson, again, I think he could definitely work in. I think he'll start for this team, and I think he will actually put up pretty good numbers. And I think he will become their number two with George Pickens, their number one.
I agree. Yeah, it's crazy to say. I don't think Roman Wilson's anything crazy, but I think
I definitely
because of
agree.
how poorly this wide receiver room is, I think he's going to be their wide receiver two at the end of the year.
I agree. Just tight end wise, I do love their two tight ends. Pat Fryermuth, I think, is an underrated guy. I think he's a very decent tight end. And I know Darnell Washington is not very good at playing tight end, but I just love the sheer size of that dude, right? That guy is massive. It is just fun to watch. If you ever just see him in the huddle, the few times he is in a huddle, he just crowds over everyone. Like sometimes he's bigger than offensive linemen. And I
Yeah,
think that's crazy.
he's massive. He's
He's
decently
massive.
athletic too for his size.
He just doesn't really catch the ball. He's just I wish he was better, but he just hasn't really panned out.
Moving to the defense, this is the best linebacking core in the NFL. Nobody
100%
can
agree.
ever tell me otherwise. You have T.J. Watt, you have Patrick Queen, you have Alex Highsmith, you have Peyton Wilson, a rookie third round
I
draft pick they have.
love Peyton Wilson.
They have Cole Holcomb, who's been an underrated linebacker his whole career. This defense. I mean, Mike Tomlin has always put together good defenses. Here he goes again, getting a good, front seven on his defense. The problem is going to be, again, his back end, his safeties and whatnot. Minka Fitzpatrick is still holding it down back there. Joey Porter had an excellent year at corner for them. They went out and traded for Dante Jackson from Carolina, a speed guy. From there, it drops off pretty drastically. But the pass rush, the run stop, and this linebacking core of Patrick Queen and who I believe Peyton Wilson is going to be their starter.
Oh, I love Peyton Wilson.
It's going to
Peyton Wilson's
be
a dog.
it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a fun defense to watch for them as long as they can keep that back end in check.
You touched on Peyton Wilson, man. I love Peyton Wilson almost as much as I love Jeremiah Trotter. These were the two guys I wanted the Seahawks to take. And we had picks to take them, and we didn't take them. I was crying. I was screaming when we passed on Jeremiah Trotter. I was crying and screaming when we passed on Peyton Wilson, right? Peyton Wilson, he plays like he wants to die on that field.
He's been
I
hurt a lot too. He's
he
trying.
has been hurt. I think he might be trying to
He's
die on
trying.
that field. But you can just tell this man loves to play the game.
You
He hits
probably want
hard.
for business credit.
He's not scared to stop the run. I love Peyton Wilson. I love how physically he plays. I think he's a steal for how late they got him, and I hope he starts on this team because I want to see him play.
I think he will. Him and Patrick Queen are going to be a duo to a force to reckon with, however you want to say it.
Another linebacker I wanted the Seahawks to grab is Patrick Queen.
Oh,
Gosh,
I did too. I did too.
yeah. There's a lot of things that I want the Seahawks to do that we don't, but trust in Mike McDonald. But back to the Steelers. You didn't really touch on the defensive line. You got Cameron Hayward, who's a seasoned veteran who's been good his entire career. I feel like he's kind of holding down that line. You got Larry. Oh my lord, I hate names. Aguin Joe By.
Yeah, I wouldn't even tried. I would have
Yeah,
left that
I
one alone.
tried. Yeah. Sorry for your last name there, dude, but I think he's a good end. And then you got Keanu Benton, who I think is another good tackle or nose guy. So I think this defensive line, I don't think you're gonna be able to run on this team. I think it's gonna be extremely hard to run on this team.
Yeah, they're going to have a great run stopping team with just front four. Then the linebackers coming up as well. Going to be hard to run on. Passing's where you're going to have to burn them.
But you won't have much time to get the pass out because you got TJ Watt coming after you.
The thing is, the Bengals are going to light these guys up because they don't
If
have a run game, and then they're just going to be passing like crazy.
I could see it, but I also feel like TJ Watt's gonna get like 3 sacks in that game.
They'll just double team them.
I don't think you that stops TJ Watt, dude.
We'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, but I'm not as much as a hater as the Steelers as you are. I think Mike Tomlin will just put something together. I think they will be on track to go like what you have them. I think you had them like 5-12.
Yep.
I think they will be on track, and I think Mike Tomlin will just cook something off, like start paying the refs or something, trying to save his career so he can say he didn't ever have a losing season. But I think he will have his final losing season barely.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't not high on them. We'll see what happens. They got to figure out their offense. Whenever draft a quarterback next year, they got to do something.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I haven't taken a look at next year's class, but I think I don't know what quarterbacks they can take, but I don't think Russell Wilson or Justin Fields is your answer for what you're doing.
Not long term.
No, definitely not. But I think that draws a close to this episode of the podcast.
That's all the divisions too. That
Yeah.
closed it out.
We are now done with the divisions. So if you guys have any suggestions for what you want to see from us, we're kind of going into no man's land. Luckily, the preseason is starting this week. So that's going to be something we definitely talk about. We're going to come to you guys next week. I think we're going to do some sleepers to watch on the preseason, some fantasy advice, maybe sleepers to grab. I think it's going to be a little bit more free formed. I'm excited for it. I think I like talking about sleepers. Little sneak peek, if you guys didn't know already, Malik Washington will be mentioned next episode. Just so you all know, prepare for it. His name will be said at least 10 times. I'm telling you right now. We can maybe start a line like 11 and a half times said Malik Washington. Anyone taking the over? Because I sure am.
Unreal. If you guys want us to touch on something, fantasy, more preseason, um, just more diving into the teams or specific teams or anything like that, please drop us some comments, shoot us some messages. Just let us know kind of what you're looking for. Reed and I have a fun time, researching this stuff, having some more conversations. Reed said the format going forward is going to be a little more less formal. We're just going to be kind of having conversations about things, spitballing ideas off of each other,
There will
some hot
probably be more
takes.
arguments. There will probably
Yeah,
be
I'll
more
probably be more
arguments.
arguments here going forward as we were just kind of generalizing all the teams and whatnot. So we had a lot of fun. We really appreciate you guys, listening to our podcast. Any comments or constructive criticism you got for us, we're all ears.
Completely. We'll take any constructive criticism. We're trying to get better each episode, make this more entertaining for you guys, and just have more fun out here. I think I'm having a great time, but we can always do better. Nothing's ever perfect unless you're Malik Washington.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, where we're going to talk about preseason stuff. I hope you see you guys there. See ya.
Sounds good. See you.